For today's card, I'm using a color block layout with 4 different pattern papers. You could do this with 2 different pattern papers using the same paper on these 2 corners and then the same paper on these corners. I'm also going to be working with the Lacy and Lovely set for this design and stamp design. You could use any scallop or circle design that you wanted to here. And I'm going to be working with some washi tape. This tape is from My Mind's Eye and their Indie Sheet collection. I did not purchase the papers that went with this because I knew I already had some papers from Basic Gray that would coordinate with these colors. So let's get started. Because I'm going to be using washi tape to wrap around these edges, I'm going to need to mount everything on a separate piece of cardstock. So I used some thinner cardstock that's still solid core that I had in my stash. It's a little bit too thin to use for the base card, but it works perfectly for this. And I've cut 4 squares of designer paper. I'll have the dimensions for those on the screen coming up. I'll also have these dimensions on my block. So let me adhere these 4 to the scrap piece of pink cardstock that's cut to the size of a standard card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Now with these in place, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment, which is, I've chosen Hello from this same Lacy and Lovely stamp set. And I'm going to stamp that in Basic Gray. And now I'll put on my washi tape. The wonderful thing about washi tape is that if it doesn't go on right the first time, you can always change it. You can always move it. And I think I would like this to go this way. It doesn't really matter which piece goes on first because the intersection is going to be covered by the stamped image. Again, if I don't get it perfectly straight, it peels up and I can readjust it. Just going to tear the edges and then wrap this around the side. And do the same thing with this kind of fuchsia pink or magenta pink. Using washi tape is a great way to keep a card fairly flat, and also if you have to make a lot of cards, the washi tape will go a lot further than ribbon typically will. Okay. Alright, we have our foundation done, and now we're ready to stamp the images that will go on top. For this base, I experimented with a lot of different colors. I was looking for something that, I tried this first in white and it just did not look good at all. And then I decided I needed a little bit of contrast, or I needed a solid background with a little bit of contrast. So I tried a really dark ink like Rich Razzleberry, that was too much. And I tried doing a tone on tone with the Melon Mambo, which is what the paper is. That didn't work, and I kept trying some things, and oddly enough, what I found that looked really good on this, I thought, was a purple color. Even though there's really not any purple in the paper, these pinks have sort of a purple tone to them. So I ended up using Wisteria Wonder, which is one of Stampin' Up's end colors. It's last year's end colors. I think they're still current. And that on top of the magenta didn't exactly come out purple, but it gave me the look that I was going for. And even though this image is not really designed for the scallop punch. I thought it filled out the scallop, and I thought it looked interesting to punch it in a scallop shape. Plus I have this punch and it's new and I wanted to use it. Alright, so there's the background for my for what's going to go over the intersection of the washi tapes. Now to do the center. I'm using Dusty Durango, which is a little bit darker color than the pumpkin pie paper that I have underneath. Now, of course, if you're using different papers, you could experiment with whatever colors of ink and paper that worked with your background. And I'm going to want to punch out the center of this because I'm going to put a button in the middle. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that first. It's a little bit easier to handle. And I'm using the 3/4 inch circle punch to punch out the middle. And then the 1.5 inch punch to do the whole thing. And I'm going to use some dimensional adhesive to raise that up. This is a good opportunity to use some of those edges on your dimensional adhesive. Okay. Alright, and our button is going to go in the middle, but I'm going to go ahead and put some twine in there first, some doodlebug twine. Okay, I set my doodlebug twine through and tied that off in a bow, and I put a glue dot on the back, and it's ready to sit right inside this little hole that we punched out. That'll keep the card a little bit flatter. And we'll adhere this then over the cross that we made with the washi tape. So I'll glue this to a regular standard size card and it will be all ready to go. Thank you for joining me today, and please check out my blog for more details.